Welcome to our course on Philippine indigenous communities. So now let us talk about the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples as our lesson 2. By the end of this course, students should be able to, one, analyze the core principles outlined in the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples as they relate to the protection and promotion of ICCs and IKSPs. Second, evaluate the challenges and opportunities associated with safeguarding and integrating IKSPs in modern societies, considering concepts like intellectual property rights and collaborative research. Third is to develop strategies for fostering respectful and collaborative relationships between indigenous peoples and non-indigenous entities, promoting the understanding and appreciation of IKSPs. First, let us have an overview of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of the Indigenous Peoples. Let's take a look at the definition and objectives. The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, or UNDRIP, was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 2007. So the declaration establishes a universal framework of minimum standards for the survival, dignity, and well-being of indigenous peoples. It recognizes indigenous peoples' rights to self-determination, land, culture, and governance. What are the core principles of this declaration? First is self-determination. Indigenous peoples have the right to determine their own political, economic, and social structures. Second is what we call as free, prior, and informed consent, FPIC. Governments and organizations must seek the consent of indigenous peoples before implementing projects affecting their lands. Take note of this. Free, prior, and informed consent. Number 3, protection of indigenous knowledge and culture. States such as the Philippines must ensure that indigenous knowledge systems and practices are preserved and respected. Number 4 is non-discrimination as a core principle of the declaration. It means that indigenous peoples should be treated equally under the law. Number 5, land and resource rights. It means that indigenous communities have the right to own, use, and manage their lands and resources. Now, how about the Philippine context of this declaration? Republic Act 8371, or the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act, aligns with the UNDP Declaration on the Rights of the Indigenous Peoples principles by recognizing the rights of indigenous peoples in the Philippines. The IPRA establishes the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples, the NCIP, to protect and promote IP rights. It also supports ancestral domain claims and self-governance mechanisms for ICCs. Now, what are the challenges and opportunities in safeguarding IKSPs? Let us first deal with the challenges. First is commercial exploitation, as we have mentioned in our previous lesson. That is unauthorized use of indigenous knowledge and practices by businesses. Second is legal gaps. That is the lack of clear policies on intellectual property rights for IKSPs. The third challenge is modernization and cultural erosion. That is obvious and inevitable. Younger generations may shift away from traditional practices. Another one is limited awareness and recognition on the part of the non-IPs. Many policymakers and the public are unaware of the values of IKSPs. Now, how about the opportunities? First, we have the community-led documentation initiatives in the country and throughout the world that is encouraging indigenous communities to document and preserve their knowledge. Another is collaborative research. We are referring to partnerships between indigenous groups, academics, and policymakers in every country. Another is legal protection through IP laws. When we say legal protection, we mean creating frameworks for indigenous knowledge patents and copyrights. Another opportunity is what we call integration in education. That means teaching IKSPs in schools to foster appreciation among younger generations. Now, what are the strategies for fostering respectful and collaborative relationships? One is consultation and free, prior, and informed consent compliance. This means this aims to ensure that indigenous peoples are active decision makers in projects affecting their communities. Second strategy is ethical research practices. By this, we mean implementing ethical research policies that prioritize indigenous participation and consent. Then we also have the government and private sector collaboration. So by this collaboration, we are actually encouraging policies that recognize and respect indigenous cultural and knowledge contribution. And number 4 strategy is cultural exchange programs. By these programs, we promote cultural dialogues between indigenous and non-indigenous communities to increase awareness between and among them. So in conclusion, we would like to say that the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of the Indigenous Peoples establishes essential rights for the IPs, ensuring self-determination, free, prior, and informed consent, cultural preservation, and land rights. So, to protect indigenous knowledge systems and practices, or IKSPs, we must 1. Respect indigenous rights in governance, land, and culture. Number 2, promote ethical collaboration and FPIC in research and development. Remember, FPIC, we mean free, prior, and informed consent. Number 3, advocate legal protections against exploitation of indigenous knowledge. And also integrate IKSPs into education and policy making. So by fostering respect and collaboration, we no doubt empower indigenous communities and create a more just, inclusive society. So next meeting, we will proceed to lesson 3, which is about laws related to the indigenous peoples. Here, we will take a closer look at the IPRA legislation and the bundles of IP rights. Thank you and see you then.